Moving on to consent calendar. All matters listed on the consent calendar are considered to be routine and can be enacted in one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items prior to the time that council votes on the motion unless members of the city council, staff, or public request specific items to be discussed or removed from the consent calendar for individual action. We do have a request from council to remove item 14, and it has been removed from the consent calendar for individual discussion. And do we have anybody else who wants to remove anything else? Nothing? All right. So hearing none, we'll take a motion on items 11 through 13 and items 15 through 18.
Through the mayor,
Yes.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent calendar items 11 through 13 and 15 through 18.
All right.
I second.
All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. And opposed, none. Thank you very much. Moving on, and we'll go ahead and discuss number 14. Mr. Gale, you're up. Welcome.
Good evening, Mayor Harris, City Council members. This evening, the item before you is to, we currently have a purchase order with Dennis Cook, who's our former Development Services Director. The city's purchasing requirements, anything over $50,000 requires the approval of the City Council. We are coming to the end of his current purchase order, which is at $47,500, and we're asking for an increase of an additional $40,000 from existing budget savings from salary savings within the Development Services budget. We have found for the past 5 years, Dennis has done a variety of work for the city and continues to assist us on a variety of projects. One such project is the Bogue Stewart Master Plan, which if we had to go out and get another person to help us and assist us with that project would probably cost us $5,000 to $10,000 just to review the documents before they would begin even working on the project. Hence, that's one of the projects and one of the reasons why we'd like to continue working with Mr. Cook. Additionally, Mr. Cook helped actually write the El Margarita Master Plan. Although not adopted by the City Council, we do have projects within the El Margarita Master Plan that continue to move forward, and he can provide us some expertise. He also wrote our zoning code, so when we do have concerns and questions, he's able to really get back to us quickly. I've called on a couple of issues where we've asked for some outside consultants' help, and they've quoted me a couple $1,000s. And Mr. Cook quotes us a couple hours at the most. And so it's really beneficial and physically prudent for the city to continue using the services of Mr. Cook. He's also helping us with the Central City Specific Plan update on the Feather River Mill project. And really what it comes down to is all these projects we could get to, but it takes time. And with the use of outside consultants, it really helps us, really keep to a time frame that we can get to the developers and have some surety of these projects moving forward. And that's the reason why we are requesting the increase from the current 47.5 to a total of 87.5 for Mr. Cook.
All right. Thank you.
Mr. Gale, just a quick update on the accessory dwelling unit ordinance. Any idea when we might have something that the public can actually begin to apply and construct?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're going in two phases. First is right now what we found is the biggest issue is related to fees and how you charge impact fees. So we hope to bring that back within 30 days to the City Council, which we'll do with the fees. There are other issues in the zoning code which could negatively impact a person's ability to do an accessory dwelling unit, but takes much, much longer related to setbacks and a variety of other planning requirements. But as people have been coming forward right now, the major issue is in our zoning code, it states if you're putting in a new kitchen, it triggers the city having a requirement for them to pay AB 1600 impact fees and new connection, water and sewer connection fees. So we hope to have that in the June City Council meeting.
Thanks for the update. Maybe for the audience benefit, just a quick, since you can probably do it better than I, just a quick explanation of what an accessory dwelling unit is and what that might mean for the city's housing issues.
Yeah, so an accessory dwelling unit is the opportunity for someone to on an existing parcel where there's already a single-family home to build an additional unit. Back in the day, they used to call these granny flats, and there's been a variety of different state laws that have been passed that are kind of helping build those. And when we're not seeing much development in our community, anything we can do to try to create additional rooms for people to live in, for whatever circumstances they might be in, an accessory dwelling unit is what it's called by law, will hopefully help us increase some new housing starts.
Thank you.
Through the mayor. Mr. Gale, following up on Councilmember Bubengarten, he's talking about that, but you also brought up the fact of the impact fees. We had that some time back, and it was an apples and oranges comparison, and I know we've had discussions that the anticipation was we would have that by May. What I just heard is within the next 30 days. Can I get a date certain so the council knows when we can really address this? Because that's really what's holding up all the economic development in this area is impact fees. Because I'll be honest with you, if I'm a developer and I know the council's considering it, I'm not pulling a permit, I'm not doing anything till I know what's happening. So can you give us a definitive date that we can have that on our agenda?
So there's about 13, I think, different jurisdictions that we request to get information from. Unfortunately, if I could get a definitive answer from a local jurisdiction on what the fees were, I could give you an answer. I've received information just today for some of the jurisdictions, and if you would like, I could bring that back as quickly as the next council meeting with what I currently have. It is not all of the jurisdictions that the council members requested information on, but I can definitely bring what I currently have. I can have that at the next council meeting, because I asked the consultant that's helping him with us, Development Finance Associates, who actually do this for developers, are the ones that we helped, that we brought on to collect all that data. So if that's the council's direction, I will bring it back at the next city council meeting, and I'll bring to you all the information that I have to date. And it's not all of the information requested, but it's at least what I have today.
I appreciate that. I really think that we need all the information, and I realize there are things out of your control, and it's been a couple of months. Mr. Mayor, am I, and Mr. Gale, am I stepping out of bounds to ask for it by the second meeting in June so we can have that conversation finally? That's 30 days.
I think you can ask for anything. It depends on is that possible, Darren? Is that reasonable?
As long as we can get the information from the jurisdictions. We, unfortunately, as we're looking to these apple to oranges, it's more than just asking what's your AB 1600 fee study. The consultant has to dive down into development agreements and a variety of different information from the projects. My goal is, and as I've told the consultant, is, your guys are chomping on my heels, and we have developers that want to build and that they're holding off until the council has this opportunity to look at the fees. Like I said, I can bring something and I can write up a staff report and have it prepared so that if I can get the information prior to the next council meeting, it'll be on the next council one. And, like I said, I'll have everything ready to go except just the attachment that shows what all of the jurisdictional fees are. But like I said, Councilmember, I have about half that information. There's just still a few jurisdictions that have not gone back.
Thank you, Mr. Gale. Mr. Mayor, I would like to see that discussed by at least the second regularly scheduled council meeting in June. Let's get this thing done.
So we have that request that we realize some of that stuff's out of your control. I think an update, regardless, would be nice. By then, you can only do with what you have if it's not in your control. So, it's clear you understand the urgency on this. We really want to get it done.
Yeah,
and you're doing the best you can. So, thank you very much.
So,
Through the mayor.
Else?
Yeah, I support what you're saying, Mayor Harris. I think that an update would be a good, sufficient to look by June, and I'd rather have a really complete report. And I know that you've been working really hard with our consultants, so I would say keep pressing forward with that and bring it to us as an update, and just keep us abreast of it.
Okay.
So just keep doing that. Thank you.
At a minimum, what I'll do is I will make sure that by the end of this week you have a memo with the information that I currently have.
So through the mayor. So just for Mr. Gale's benefit, so you're saying whether he has 6 or 13, as long as he brings us we're good with it. If only 6 jurisdictions is only answered out of 13.
Right. If he's
If
lucky
that's
enough
all
to
he
have
has,
the information
then
back that he's
that'd be good
requesting
enough.
by then, that's so be it. But if not, I think
go.
an update, just a status check would be appropriate and definitely of interest to all of us.
Okay.
So thank you very much.
And it will also, Councilmember Shaw, when we bring it to City Council, you will then have to give us direction to come back to the next meeting. So even if we don't have all the full information, at least it would give you a spectrum, an idea of where some of these other jurisdictions are. And then no doubt by the time that it was finalized and that you brought back an ordinance for adoption, all the information would be there. So what I hear is obviously prior, at least by the second meeting in June, I'm going to try to have it on your first meeting in June with the information that we have, and then you can give us direction, and who knows, maybe we can even have it in that following City Council meeting.
Thank you.
Very good. And just for point of clarification, Darren, you're probably already doing this, but when we say development impact fees, different jurisdictions put different fees under that umbrella, what they call impact fees. If we could just get, in the interest of having apples to apples, regardless of what they call it, regardless of what we call it, what are the fees to open a door?
That's what.
Yeah, I think you're probably already doing that.
What we're pulling is everything from school districts,
Perfect,
to paying a permit to actually, get a permit for the home, and having not break down by every specific name, but at least, hey, here's what's a processing fee is, here's what your impact fees are, and here are what connection fees are in those jurisdictions. And then also other types of conditions of approval that are offsite improvements that are required of the project.
I have a question.
One question here.
No mas. Are we also taking a look at CFDs?
I have not looked at CFDs.
Do you think it would be appropriate to do so in connection with the development costs?
So a CFD is what's called a community facilities district. We do have some information when the City Council adopted the CFD that I could provide to the City Council, which showed, I think, a few jurisdictions of their tax burden on homes. So when you're asking about that, are you looking for all local governments financing districts on properties, or just specifically the City Council adopted a $425 community facilities district for services? Would you like us to provide information on all of the community or all the financing type districts?
The concern that was raised at the meeting that we had with the builders and developers in April was the impact on the buyer of not only the development impact fees, but the ongoing taxes, and how that impacts their ability to turn a profit on the building itself. So for me, I think, again, not trying to overburden the study, I think at some point we're going to need to take a look at the community facilities district costs as well, because that is factoring into the developer's decision on whether they go ahead with a project.
Correct. And Councilmember, I do not believe that the City Council has set a standard on what the total tax burden should be on a home when it's sold. So the state, your property tax is 1%. Then you have school bonds, community college bonds, levy district bonds. Some jurisdictions actually say, you know what, it's not going to be above 1.8 is kind of a threshold that a lot of jurisdictions have. And we have some taxing districts, entities within the city limits that are over 1.8 right now. I just found that out recently, and they have no CFD on their property.
So Mayor, I need
your question.
So
I need a point of clarification. So is council asking development services to review the CFDs and the additional costs that are put on properties on an ongoing basis? Because that scope of work is much different than what the current consultant is doing. And when you're talking apples to apples, that's a really difficult comparison because agencies do a lot of different things.
I'm not asking for that. For that to occur. I was asking if it was coming with the other information, but I do think it's something that we're going to have to address going forward because the builders and developers have asked about that.
Okay, thank you.
And so then, did you have any other questions, Mayor?
Well, it's true that it's possible for someone to develop something when they have no CFD. Is that true?
So any new projects that are coming forward in the city today,
New project.
we have 12 growth policies, And when those projects come through for a map, one of the conditions that's placed on the map is that they're required to annex into our community facilities district for services. There are other things like landscape and maintenance districts also on top of that. But this is the first time that the city has adopted a community facilities district, and that was part of the 12 growth policies that were adopted about 14 or 15 years ago by the city council. We've only had a few maps that have come in since that was adopted. The only project that is currently built that is having to pay the new CFD is the new project on the north side of town called Valencia Estates off of Elmer. In that area. That's the current project there's a few other projects that have it as part of a condition on their map. Sutter Heritage on the corner of Smith and Walton. The Faith Christian project.
Mr. Mayor, I don't mean to interrupt, but at this point we're getting a little too far outside the scope of the agendized item. And so in light of the Brown Act, I think we need to refocus back on the agendized item.
Appreciate that. Are you clear as to the request?
Yes.
Okay. And are you good with the, okay, perfect. Then we will go ahead and move on.
Could I
you.
ask for action on the item before you?
Move on to take request for action, yes.
Well, first
you.
we would open it for public comment and then proceed to action by council.
Anybody will carry comment from the public? No. All right. Entertain a motion.
Yeah, I motion to authorize the city manager to amend the existing professional services agreement between the city of Yuba City and Dennis Cook of Yuba City to increase the contract amount from $47,500 to $87,500, subject to approval as a legal formed by the city attorney over there, and with the finding that it's the best interest of the city.
Well, yeah, we were way off, weren't we? We talked about.
It was Dave.
So much for asking a question.
Yeah, thank you for that. All right. I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
No one opposed? Very good. Thank you very much. Wherever you already sat down. All right. Well, my thing here says Ben, but hold on.
I'm anxious. Says Brad on this one.
Hold on.
19.
So we're on 15 now?
19. That was consent calendar. Up to 18.
My
is
bad.
consent.
My bad.
You're up to 19, sir.
I can't even blame it on not having my glasses on.